Bum, 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 bum. Ads are starting. Yep. Oh, okay, getting this up. Bum bum bum. Is that not coming through? Hmm. Oh, it's coming through. Okay, it's fine. Oh, it's coming through. Okay, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. So Bungie has their showcase today. Waiting to see them go live. Destiny 2. Should just be on Bungie, actually. They don't have anything scheduled on their, like on the YouTube side. So, well, we'll watch the video we were gonna watch last night. Here, let me grab. So it should be in like, is it 10 a.m. PT? 9 a.m. So bum, 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 bum. Timer. Reveal. Start. So we have just under an hour, supposedly, until it starts. This is Mr. Raffle Waffles. He's going over some unsolved mysteries with Bife.
Hi guys, Mr. Waffles here. In a recent interview that I did...
Figured we could watch this. If there was one from Cross I wanted to look at. I don't think we'll watch it right now. But while we wait for them to post any sort of like waiting, we'll just watch this. Mr. Waffles coming from the COD scene, getting back into Destiny. Really good creator. Really good. Willing to learn and quick at learning. Just nice. I'm glad everyone's embraced him.
With the narrative director of Destiny 2, I asked this question, which led to a pretty mysterious answer. If there was one thing that you could say to the Destiny community in terms of, from a story perspective, things from the past...
We watched this on stream.
We need to chew on more, that you sort of see like, oh, I feel like there's some rich material here that could be so much more sumptuous than you guys realize. Is there a direction you could point us in, or a particular theme that you think that we should or could do?
What are the things Destiny doesn't talk about? Like in Destiny's like whole like story and lore, like what doesn't it talk about?
Hell yeah!
Hi.
Okay, thank you so much. So, to dig into this and to help explore what Allison has prompted us with there, I've reached out to none other than Bife to try and unpack
Lord Daddy
bit.
Bife.
So, hello, Bife. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me on the video, and thank you for jumping on the content that we did the other day on my channel as well.
Yeah, man, of course. We've been cooking story stuff together recently in various places. We did some Witch Queen story as well. It's been amazing, but that's a topic for another video. Today we're focusing on this very mysterious answer / question from Allison. What are the things Destiny doesn't talk about, and in Destiny's whole story and lore, what just doesn't it talk about? What's missing? So I mentioned this to you, Bife, and you came up with a few different bits and pieces. And I'm just going to say, from the little list that you compiled, maybe just pick a one at random and we can start there. What are the missing pieces in Destiny?
Okay, so the one that I originally wanted to pick out with you, because I think it's just really fun, is Neptune's Moon of Triton. This sounds so specific and so odd, but it bleeds into a ton of themes.
Okay.
Right? So the main thing we know about this is all about the idea that it's just orbiting Neptune and, you know, doing its thing. But indigenously, there's a bunch of space spiders out there in Neptune, and Triton is the place where they live.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like an entirely unseen alien species in Destiny.
Oh my god.
This, I think, bleeds into our first theme, really, which is just like, and realistically, the first thing that I think we haven't explored, which is just like, hey, is there other life that's out there in Sol that just has not ever been involved in the War of Light and Dark that we've played out in the system, that maybe isn't getting involved until just now? And like, there are tons of worlds out there in Sol itself. You know, we have so many moons in the planetoids that orbit our sun. We have everything that's all the way out there in the heliopause. And life can exist in a bunch of different places, especially when Destiny plays relatively loose with its sci-fi in the moments where it's convenient.
Yep.
You know, I think those are the moments where it's likely that you're going to see a bunch of different species just suddenly arriving out of nowhere. You know, because it's pretty canned right now in Destiny to have.
I wish we would explore more.
7 enemy factions. So, you know, Hive, Fallen,
In our own home.
Vex, Taken, Scorn, and Dread. But the reality is, it doesn't need to just condense into just those, right? Like, it's entirely possible there are other forces out there we've just never encountered.
Yeah. Have there been mentions of, beyond those spiders, which sound crazy, beyond those, have there been other mentions of things here and there that have sort of been left untouched for many years, or has there just been no focus on the idea of anything beyond those sort of core 7?
So I think that the hottest one that has not necessarily been touched or developed a bunch over the years is definitely the Aphelion, right?
Okay.
Like, they're a group that's mentioned a lot in the story of the Awoken, in particular with characters like Sieur Ido. But the Aphelion are kind of this weird anomalous hazard and creature that exists throughout Awoken space in particular, and you can tell that they've been left behind because they leave radiation in their wake. which is a
Oh.
really specific trait, but like areas where there's been an Aphelion attack, you can't go near to it because of how radiated it is. So that in itself really interesting, but that's not the only thing, right? That's just local to us.
For that one group, I think it's a bunch of. When I heard someone explain it, it was like jellyfish. We have a lot of there's a lot of animal species or animalistic species in Soul and Destiny that I wish we would explore more. Even as just like, you know, some games have like wolves and boars or whatever that are everywhere to attack. If we just had more creatures rather than just whatever more wild stuff, it would give more of the sense of like, oh, we don't control everything. It's very wild out in the universe if there's more non-civilized creatures to fight.
System. The Drifter, God bless him, has been all the way out into the darkest reaches of very, very far off planets. And some of the first armor that we got from the Drifter has lore about one of those journeys where he went out to a planet that was full of some kind of strange pyramid structure complex things. And inside those monoliths, there was like some creature that was frozen and was clearly looking at them. The cold on this planet was so bad that they kept on dying, and they then found out that those creatures weren't all entombed in these various monoliths across whatever planetoid this was, right? And like, we know this wasn't Europa because the Drifter says it's way far out.
Yeah.
So like, you just have these terrifying darkness predators in this world somewhere way far out, and apparently they were able to drain the light of ghosts. So, like, that's just a thing that exists somewhere out there that the Drifter has been talking about in some weird side stories that he's been doing.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've just never encountered that, you know?
Dude, I love the idea that there's almost like an SCP novel just waiting to be
Yes.
written about these
100%.
monster things that are seemingly contained, and then you realize actually no, they're not. One of them's broken containment or what have you. Like, I think that would be such a rich thing to play with. Is that something from an almost thematic perspective? Would you say that Destiny has kind of leaned in various places to like, this is the horror arc, and this is the psychological thriller arc, and this is the detective arc? Like, have they kind of bucketed stories in those ways, and are there any maybe genres of story like that feel like they're missing potentially?
So, yes, they've absolutely done that.
Okay.
You're playing through Witch Queen right now, which is part investigation into this ancient family of gods and part literal detective story, which you can see.
With the evidence board.
You know, the evidence board is the biggest hint to it, but even the achievements and the bounties you get from Finch, it's all stuff to do with like an old detective novel, even to the point where like the title that you get from Finch is called Gumshoe, which is basically a reference to literally just checking out everything as a detective and making sure that even a stick of gum on the bottom of your shoe does not get missed, right? Like, they're looking at everything. I believe that's the origin of that phrase. If not, I'm sorry, but like,
I think it is.
Detective
Life is right on that.
Cool.
But no, like, they do this with all sorts of other things, right? So, I mean, the most obvious examples are going to be things like Season of the Plunder, when they went for a full-on pirate story and like went ahead and leaned into that theme real hard. Presage, I think, is another great example where they. Oh man, if you play an exotic mission at some point soon, let it be Presage, because Presage is basically Destiny's haunted house. It's so much fun.
Cool.
Like, you basically go through this entire ship, and it's not Destiny does not do well being a horror game because it's an FPS where you run predominantly with a power fantasy at the heart of your gameplay.
Yeah, and you're a
right?
god, so like, what's a little
like you're a
spooky ghost
demigod
gonna
basically.
do? Yeah.
But at the same time, like, you know, Presage does a half decent job, and they showed that they can absolutely build an atmosphere where stuff is scary. And
So-
like, yeah.
With that in mind, then maybe let me throw a couple of other genres of things at you that haven't been done. So at least so far, I am yet to see dinosaurs.
Oh,
Oh,
boy.
bless this
that would
man.
be cool.
That's
If we get dinosaurs in Destiny, holy, I would be Please let it be so. Oh. Dinosaurs? Dinosaurs would be good. I think I touched on it a bit ago, and I had the thought, but I didn't want to say something at the moment. Dino Nut, that's what I'm. Bro, give me a dinosaur, I will eat for a day. The problem I think Destiny has is the problem a lot of creative content has, where they have a bunch of ideas that they start the threads for, but they never come to fruition, or they're not meant to, and that kind of gets confusing and clutters the story. Because, like, saying, like, there was a whole story point in when Crow was revealed to be Aldrin, where the fact that some Cabal had a device that could just turn off the light, that was a big thing. That was like, oh, it took the remnants of a Sun Eater to create a single bullet that could turn off a ghost. Not kill the ghost, but turn it off. And then that was a big thing. And then to find out Drifter has been to a planet where a creature can just do that. And it's just, he's like, yeah, never want to go back there. And we've never seen this creature. We don't know its name. We don't know anything else about it apart from it can do what took an entire civilization years to create. Just, it can do it just naturally. Or, like on Triton, there's like 8-foot tall, like daddy long leg spiders that just roam around. They're not like a whole civilization. They're just creatures. But we have so many things that we could see that players want to see, but because they're in Sol and people are also tired of staying in and around Earth and the solar system around us, Bungie's kind of forced to just leave those there as stories, which is good to have, like, what's effectively a scary bedtime story in your game, but I want to see those. I would very much like to see some of those creatures, even if it's like just an artwork of them. I think at some point we were supposed to get that lion race, or like the big moth people again, and that also got sidelined again, because some of the original races for Destiny was like kind of the Cowardly Lion from Wizard of Oz, as like a whole group of people we could play as, and like moth people, like Mothman kinda, but more bug-ish. Supposedly those got wrapped up into other parts of the story. But I think it would be cool to just see something like that. Maybe not like a new playable race, because that would be horrible to tune for, but I think seeing some of the things we hear about, I want to put a face to a name, rather than just, hey, there's this horrible creature out here that can do this, and not knowing anything further.
That's not been touched on as far as I've seen. Is that more broadly true? Is there any prehistoric Earth lore that we know of, or does the story of Destiny to date kind of start with like the Traveler era and shortly before the Traveler, but not like 1,000 years before?
So, like, the story on Earth definitely starts with, like, the modern era of the current day. So, like, 2014, I think, is the earliest actual human date that's referenced. There are some bits and pieces where there's lore that goes into the pre-Golden Age, like...
And there's Bobby Fischer now in the 60s, right?
Bobby Fischer in the 60s, everything that's coming along with Edge of Fate and the potential links to Chicago, that pulls back into the 20th century.
Yep.
But it doesn't go too much further. It certainly doesn't go into... like prehistoric times.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish it would.
References to genuinely, truly ancient times in some of the 9 lore, there are references to some of the times when life was literally just beginning in the sort of pre-Cambrian era.
Okay.
Cambrian.
And you know, like there are those moments, but that doesn't really fit
But
with
alright.
the category of like, hey, here's this giant freaking lizard creature that you now need to go out and deal with.
Yeah.
The closest I think we get is the Ahamkara,
Mhm.
right? Which are
Right.
Destiny's wish dragons.
Yeah.
And that, like, I categorize that as something different in itself because, for one, there's been not a lot, but like a reasonable amount of coverage of them. Like, they show
Mhm.
up on a semi regular basis, narratively speaking. And there have been some characters like Riven who were developed a lot over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But, like, there's, as far as I'm concerned, that is still a very unexplored region of the story, and they've left hints
Mhm.
to it, right? Like,
Okay.
there's a
We have eggs,
artifact
don't we?
from Season of the Wish, which was the season before Final Shape.
Yep.
Which basically hints that there is a rumor that the Cryptarchy totally denies as being true. Like, it's absolutely not happened. That there are 7 Ahamkara still at large.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
So, like, whenever Bungie writes stuff like that, that's definitely them just leaving breadcrumbs for themselves later, as I think was being said in the
Mhm.
interview that you referenced. You know, that's them putting a condiment in the fridge.
Yeah. They've got their recipe that they're constructing, and they're like, we'll add some salt here, but we'll also save a big handful of salt for the very end of the meal because we know that it's going to be extra good there. Like,
Yes.
I dug into this a lot with Allison and her choice of design of the story, and it sounds like she is very conscious of the fact that there are things that have been mentioned in Destiny years ago that she can use at any time at will to spice things up, and some of
Mhm.
those they're doing with the 9, for instance, in the Edge of Fate. But then there are others that we probably haven't even cottoned onto the fact that they're about to be sort of present, that will surprise us in the Edge of Fate and in Renegades and beyond. On the dinosaurs thing, I would also want to ask the
I
question
like this
of,
man.
in terms of gaps and gaps in time, if we don't really have any dinosaur stuff beyond the sort of dinosaur adjacent things of Ahamkara,
hmm
moving forward in time from the dinosaurs specifically, things like ancient Egypt and the ancient Greeks, like
Ooh.
these extremely advanced.
That there is some lore. I think the oldest guardian is like from some ancient battlefield type thing, and there's nothing new yet either there. Like I think Babylonian time frame or like Mesopotamian, where it's like a Bronze Age warrior gets resurrected from a death pit, and that would have been like bows were essentially the top of the line tech wise. I think that's the earliest we have, but I think that's the earliest confirmed. But I think having like a Minoan like type thing, or like ancient Egypt, like Greek, Roman, pre-medieval, I think, because we hit medieval with the Dark Ages theming, at least, with like Warlord's Ruin, Shaxx and all that stuff, and the Iron Lords are very like Nordic medieval. But if we hit kind of Bronze Iron Age and then into Greco-Roman, Minoan, ancient Egyptian type timeframes, I think that'd be sick.
Societies for their time that we in the real world have a lot of knowledge about, but also we have a lot of kind of conspiracies about, and in the real world a lot of missing knowledge about as well. Is there any play with those themes in Destiny? Like, for example, people will ask the question, like, how did they build these pyramids? Or how did the Egyptians know all of this stuff? Like, how did they possibly put all this stuff in their hieroglyphics on their walls? Like, how could they have known that, right? It's a common conspiracy angle.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm curious, is there a world where Destiny sort of goes, oh yeah, it is interesting that the ancient Egyptians had all of this advanced knowledge. Maybe they had help.
Yeah, so I think that there's absolutely room for that, especially
Mm.
because
Hmm.
like cutting into ancient mythology and trying to break different bits of it into your own canon and
Yeah.
twist them in a way that suits your story is totally something
That's
that
like
Bungie's done
Stargate with
before. I
Egypt.
mean, take a look at just go back to the most obvious reference of Halo and the fact that your character is a Spartan, right? And
Mm.
all of a sudden you can immediately see the fact that they will happily pull a reference from Greece, but it goes even deeper than that, right? Like the original Marathon trilogy, you see a whole bunch of other references to ancient Greece, even down to the word marathon, which is a reference to part of ancient Greek culture and
Right.
a place there. So, like, if you're sitting there and contemplating whether they'd happily pull from history and throw that into a Destiny context, yes,
100%.
100%. And there are some examples of how that can kind of clash with the way that they've done ancient history in the game currently.
Okay.
So, I mean, Osiris, I think, is the most obvious example of a character. Obviously, Osiris is an actual god within the pantheon of the ancient Egyptian culture. So
Right.
it was definitely one of those moments where they pulled that name directly. But then there's the questions of why was Osiris named Osiris and what are the links? And to your point, what are the things that might have happened in the ancient Earth timeline of Destiny that we didn't know about?
Yeah.
Which might have been impacted by any number of things, right? We know it predates the Traveler, but we don't know about some other entities, right? So
Yeah.
the 9 individuals that have been brought up on a regular basis. And then there's some other terrifying potential.
So you
Let's talk about
mentioned.
Nezarec for a second.
Yeah, I
Sure,
was
let's do
just
it. I don't know
about
what
to
that is, but
say.
let's do it.
Yeah, this is a mild spoiler to a certain extent, but it's fine. I'm going to talk in vague terms.
Sure.
Nezarec is a kind of eldritch entity and
Oh,
is
hell yeah.
yeah, terrifying. But cultists
Oh.
on Earth apparently have passed down a
I
totem
love-
called of hated Nezarec since pre-Golden Age times.
I love
Now,
Milo's
that is as
enthusiasm.
broad as basically saying could be anywhere from 2014 to the birth of human history as we know it, like 12,000 years ago or so. So we don't know how old this text is, but the implication is that this god has kind of been looking over Earth and humanity for all that time. And depends on how far back you go, but you know, like there is an entire range of history for them to work with there. So, like,
Yeah.
it's not impossible that if you take these moments in history and suddenly pull them all the way back, you can insert some other godlike figures there, you know? Like, people have
Yeah.
been probably manipulating and playing around with Earth's history for a very, very long time.
Dude, that's juicy. That's
Mhm.
so the idea, because if were they called Netherrack?
Nezarec.
Nezarec. If Nezarec has been
Another.
observing at the very least, then that means that we've been there to be observed by these external entities. Who's to say that there can't be a dozen of them? You know, who's to say there can't be a suite of observers out there, or meddlers, right, that may have been playing games
Watchers.
on a much grander scale than even the gods that we understand, the Savathoons or what have you. If you'd call Savathun a god, I don't know if you would, but like the
I think you
almost
would.
tier of entity that we have played with so far may just be like the present day local news, but we might
Yep.
have the international news to deal with at some point. Like there might be an
Mhm.
entire echelon of creature of species of god or what have you that might be observing it all.
And this is why it's you know, it's cool that Destiny is exploring the secrets of the solar system a bit more closely in the Fate saga. But man, if there's ever times after that and we venture beyond the heliopause, Destiny can get truly wild. Because at that point, you know, you're looking at a massive span of galaxy that is uncharted and full of potential. But yeah,
Mhm.
you've got places like Reese, which is the fallen homeworld. There may be some stuff going on with that in the future. The Vanguard sent probes out to a bunch of relevant locations, which I'm not going to mention because potential spoilers might
Okay.
be in there.
Yep.
But like, you know, there's some really cool stuff that awaits us way out beyond the solar system. And we're not even exploring some other bits. One last tiny bit, which will take 30 seconds though.
Yep.
Last thing, I keep going on about it in so many of my videos, but there's one last place called the Cocytus Apertures.
Okay.
It's a series of gateways
Funny name.
that lead to other dimensions that's just chilling out in the reef. So, like,
Wow.
This was previously linked to the Nine. Then before that, it was taken over by Crota and linked into his throne world. Like, you just have a bunch of interesting, cool story MacGuffins that are out there in the middle of the solar system, and this is one of them. And I think it's so underutilized.
Okay, well, as far as things that haven't been talked about or haven't been talked about enough, it's right there. So, I look forward to seeing that be the grand reveal in the Edge of Fate. The prophecy has been laid out before us by the lore master. No, but in all seriousness, I'm sure there are dozens of things like this that we could sort of dig into today.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, we are short on time, so we're going to have to end this video here. But
No.
if you guys would like to hear more exploration and yappery between Bife and I on this topic or an adjacent topic, then just let us know in the comment section. Bife, very grateful for you coming on at short notice to get this recorded as well. So thank you for that. And I'm eagerly awaiting all of these story reveals, Allison. So fingers crossed she has some crazy stuff cooked up ready for us for the Edge of Fate as well. So yeah.
Hell
Thanks,
yeah.
Bife.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me on.
So, was that one? Apparently, we might, like, this is coming in, like, 37 minutes. Which they, of course, they would... Oh! It's just there. It's just here. Why is it not on the YouTube, man? Oh, there we go. Okay. It'll get rid of that. Thank you. Okay. So we have 26 to like 30 something minutes ish. I think I'm gonna mute, or at least turn this down. Actually, you know what? I'll mute it. Watching Milo is the enthusiasm he has and brings into the community is, I think, one of the best things and he's one of the best things to happen to the community for a bit. With the enthusiasm he brings, the topics he hits on, and his experience with lore stuff from the zombies' point of view in COD. He's hungry, and there's a feast in front of him, and he's willing to take a bite of everything to try and experience everything. And then wanting to share that with others, I think, is one of the most valuable things that's happened, or that we've gotten. Dinosaurs? Oh, give me them. Give me a dinosaur, please. I want a dinosaur in Destiny so bad. I want a dinosaur in Destiny. Bungie. Dance. Bum, 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 bum. We're not gonna look at this one. Allison is my goat. True Twitch chat. Alright. Okay, so we got this one. I'm gonna make a new, window catcher. It'll be okay. Oh. Oh. Let's get rid of the Twitch chat there. Ba-ba. Okay. So we have, depending on the stuff, we'll watch the YouTube one over the Twitch one. But we're close. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-da-da. What is it? Oh, okay. Ba-dum-bum-ba.
UD key.
Okay. You want me to pull one right now?
You can pull one right now.
I bet.
Why is this thing not going at full screen right now, chat?
Let's see how's Cross doing.
Okay, there we go.
Akira, congrats.
Chad, if you want a copy of Edge of Fate, I think Cross is giving away stuff if you go into his
Akira.
chat and watch him.
Hi, Kira, you just won, brother. Chat, we're gonna be giving, and if you miss out on a key for this on this stream, Edge of Fate, don't worry. In the next stream, because Bungie's doing 2 streams. They're doing the stream today, which is June 24th. They're doing another one July the 3rd, right?
I think it's the first.
Oh, is it the first? Whatever that Tuesday is, I think they're doing another one in July.
Oh, bless. If they're doing it on the 1st, that's a 24-hour stream, baby. Oh, gimme. Okay. Yeah, if you want the chance at an Edge of Fate key, you can hop into Cross's chat. We are... What's the YouTube chat saying? Nothing. I'm expecting... See, they said a couple new weapons, further in-depth into the melee system, and armors, like Armor 3.0. I don't really know what else to expect. I'm kind of just... I'm anxious. I don't know what they're going to show off. I feel like they got something juicy waiting. Something big. I'm going to take that for Milo. I'm going to say juicy more. Maybe not. That sounds weird. Okay, maybe not. I feel like they got something big they haven't shown yet. But they've been waiting for like the dev stream and like the melee system. Or it's gonna be like rocket assisted like fusion rifle or something dumb. Something that's big that they're like, oh, this'll get them for sure. So if they have part 1 today, if part 2 is next week on the 1st, ooh, that 24-hour stream gonna be... It's gonna start good, at least. I'm hoping, I'm really hoping. So Mactix showed a lot of guns in his video, going over damage numbers and like perk rolls and stuff. They said they're showing off new weapons. Mactix showed like 20 weapons already. So I'm not sure if they mean new, just like ones that nobody touched on, like ones Mactix didn't show, or if it's new like full new, or like going over ones he did show or new ones that he didn't. Because 20 weapons is if that's not all of them, then we're getting more than I expected. Why is this unlisted still? Boom, 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 boom. I don't know. Yeah. I'm oh, what do I name this? Fisherman, can you give me a dance emote? I'm uploading a new emote to 7TV. I don't know what to call it. Bop. Okay. Bop is a good one. We're getting near uh let's say we're getting near the end of like our or the amount of our emotes, but we still have like 250 left. Peak is updating? Yeah, mine updated earlier. There we go. New emote added. Send that to Jonah for approval. Jonah! Running out of ideas. Oh, 13 minutes. Please. Please. The Everdark Sovereign version of the Dark Drift Knight will descend upon Limveld on June 26th. What? Huh? What is that from? Is that from the peak thing? Or is that from Night Rain? Elden Ring? Okay. Just saying words expecting me to know what they mean, man. Come on. Maybe on 24-hour we do a little Night Rain? If you're down, Fish. You do that with Destiny all the time? Fair. Fair enough. Okay, well, it's my stream. So that's kind of the point of me saying random stuff. Random sounds, noises, words coming from this is par for the course. Even off stream? Okay, well, that's just how I am. How I am on stream is pretty much how I am off. I'm just more quiet off stream. $10 minutes. 10 minutes a minute. Are we gonna get this, like... What's the chat saying? What's the chat saying? Let me know. Edge of Goon? Okay, that's the first thing. Edge of Feet. Okay, well, we are... Destiny fans are doing alright, I guess. And more mad. I do get more mad off stream. Or do you mean more mad on stream? I think I get more mad off stream. Dude, I try not to get frustrated on stream because I don't think it's like... I know some people like seeing people get frustrated. Odd to do, but off stream, yeah. I try not to get super frustrated on stream, but like, brother. Seems like some days just designed to piss me off. I did not. No, 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 no. We're not starting this. Nah, 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 nah. Nah, 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 nah. No, 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 no. Fisherman, come here. Come here. Come here, fish. Fisherman, come tomorrow. Come here. Come here right now. Okay. I'm coming over there. Fall for the rage bait? Fuck you. Bro, Twitch takes that seriously. People have been banned for less, man. Come on. We got 6 minutes. Twitch is dumb then? Well, yeah, half their decisions either get walked back or they're made for dumb reasons. Twitch made a good decision recently by rounding off all the buttons. So everything's like a sausage shape now. But like very rarely does Twitch make a decision I actually agree with. Like fully agree with. It's always some like unnecessary change. Boom, 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 boom. 5 minutes, give or take. It's probably closer to like 7 or 8 minutes, but all right. Boom, 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 boom. Get some. Fishman, what do you think we're gonna see? In your, I know you don't play Destiny, but like, what are you thinking we'll see? Goon of Fate? Well, I would say Edge of Goon instead of Goon of Fate, if that's the way you're gonna go. I'm hoping they show some of the Ash and Iron stuff or whatever the Plaguelands thing is. Goon of Feet, that's just what you do on a day-to-day. I hope we see some of the Ashlands, like the Plaguelands and Rise of Iron stuff. If we can get some of maybe the Star Wars thing coming at the end. Alright, man. Relax. If we can get some of the Star Wars stuff, I think would be good. I doubt we will. If anything, that'll probably be next week. I'm hoping it's more Vidoc and less couch stream, but honestly, at this point. I'm hoping maybe it's like, if it is going to be a two-part, hopefully this will be the Vidoc, and then next week is the couch stream they normally do, where they can like maybe elaborate a little more or whatever. Two minutes ish. We're getting there. We're getting close. Here, I'll start the ad break now. And never mind, I can't. Okay. Ads are gonna play in like 4 minutes. I don't think Edge of Fate will start in 4 minutes. But, we should get out of ads by the time the stream actually starts. Oh, posture check. Thank you. It's Parang spin. 1 minute. I think my timing was off. Demi chatter. That's crazy. I'm not seeing. No time frames, so we'll just, if I'm wrong timing wise, we'll just have to wait for it. 15 seconds. 15 seconds. Five, four, three. Yeah, okay, I was off. You know what? That's alright. It'll probably be like, what, 3 more minutes? 4 more minutes? Any second now. Any second now. Let's see. Twitch chat is talking about making weapons craftable again. They are in sub-only mode on the Twitch side. DMG goading people into spamming specific emotes. Rise of Iron 2. Let's see. Delete your pre-orders. Not gonna do that, dude. That's Bungie, I believe. Make it count, Bungie, gameplay-wise. both chats kind of just suck. But a Moncock, no. Oh! There's like a couple minutes off. That's okay.
So Kepler's a place touched by the Nine,
Oh, it's
concealing a lot of
Vidoc stuff.
secrets and danger. And it's somewhere that human scientists traveled to a long time ago to reach singularity. While living on Kepler, not only did they observe the collapse, they survived it.
Okay.
And over time, the ideals of the scientific process they held to were enshrined
Ads?
in their culture.
It would start
and they
right
came
now.
to be known as the Ionians.
Okay, I have it paused. I have it paused. I don't know who has ads. We will wait out the minute. Just in case there's any buffer time or whatever, we'll wait the minute out. A minute behind, that's not bad. That's okay. So, it's Vidoc stuff. So it's going how I think it's going to go. We're going to get a Vidoc today. And then on the 1st or whatever the next Tuesday is, it should be the 1st. I think we'll probably get the normal couch stream where they'll elaborate more, go into some depth about whatever Bingus is. 30 seconds. Looking at the Twitch chat quick. There's actual lore stuff. People seem a little more excited. Okay. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8. I'm not doing the countdown for other reasons. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We hit play. Welcome back from ads.
The Elixni House of Exile arrived during the Dark Age, weary from the Long Drift. They didn't invade Earth with the other Elixni houses. Instead, they sought a new home, which they found alongside the Ionians.
Okay.
But the dark matter that permeates Kepler,
We
that
back?
converted into the ether they need to survive, ended up being toxic. So when the Ionians failed to cure them, the house rose up under an Archon, claiming to be blessed with prophetic sight. Now, the House of Exile is full of zealots.
So we have Nurgle
And
fallen.
they'll stand opposed to the Guardian as they walk the winding pathways of Kepler, learning more about what called them there in the first place. Guardian's paracausal power acts as a catalyst for the normally corrosive force of dark matter. These new powers will allow them to unlock long sealed passageways for the Ionians as they make their way to the singularity at the core of the planetoid.
Okay.
So from the start, we focused on building Kepler as more of a dungeon-like destination. It expands on the interconnected world design of places like the Leviathan or the Shattered Throne.
As you fight your way across Kepler, you
More
tap into
vets.
dark matter abilities and unlock enemy tech that expands your navigation and aids you in combat. These are all about going places you would normally think are out of reach.
Matterspark has you turn into this wild ball of arc energy. It's like nothing we've done in Destiny before. The Mattermorph ability lets you twist the objects in the world around you.
With Relocator, you've essentially co-opted the Fallen's teleportation networks and can use it to cross gaps you wouldn't have even considered before.
It'll be the small tells, an open vent, a broken window, things you want to remember because you might be revisiting them later.
Abilities can be upgraded, so as you unlock new perks, you can chain them into
Okay.
build crafting in clever ways.
By far, the most game-changing is one of Matterspark's upgrades. On Kepler, it lets you turn into Matterspark the same way you'd summon a sparrow, wherever and whenever. It will optimize not only exploration, but also combat on future playthroughs in super creative ways. There are tons of cool combinations. You can suspend an enemy with Mattermorph, bend a path up toward the sky, and then in mid-air, leap into Matterspark to dash across the arena and arc chain a group of enemies.
We'd probably that would probably be Hive.
I've already seen players pairing abilities with
Slanesh.
different exotic perks and aspects to create some really crazy builds.
We know this is only the beginning and can't wait to see what happens once players get their hands on this kit.
What was that? Wait a minute.
Only the beginning and can't
She's back. Okay.
wait to see
Well,
what
that's
happens once players get their hands on this kit.
a lore thing. Still hot though? I don't know, man. Maybe.
All right. Hello.
Oh.
Welcome
DMG
to
doing it.
Welcome to our
Oh, it's not a
Destiny 2
Vidoc.
Edge of Fate live stream. This will be the first live stream that we have leading into launch. Big shout out to the folks that we had on our Dev Insight video. We were just talking about Kepler, destination abilities, some of the secrets of Kepler and the Aeonians, but we're going to leave that for a later date for you to discover. Today we're going to be talking a bunch about Sandbox. We have a bunch of core feature updates with Armor 3.0, gear tiering, some new loot for you to grind out, and a bunch of cool things to show. So without further ado, let's get to it. We have a wonderful panel of developers on our couch. Some of them are new, some of them you've seen before. But yeah, let's start out with Eric. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for asking, Dylan.
Yeah. For folks that maybe haven't seen you on a previous live stream where you've talked about burst weapons and all the cool ability stuff, who are you? What do you do?
Sure. I'm Eric Smith, gameplay lead on Destiny 2, and I'm excited to dive into our sandbox changes.
Awesome. Vivian, hello, hello. Welcome to the live stream format. We've seen you on Vidocs from time to time, but yeah, for folks that haven't met you, seen you on our Vidocs. Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, I'm Vivian Bex. I'm a sandbox designer on Destiny. I get the privilege of making like a lot of the toys that players get to use, you know, like weapons and stuff. Recently, I've kind of been all over the sandbox team, and I have some very exciting stuff to show today. I'm really excited.
Man. Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. And last but not least, end of the couch, Bjorn. Taylor Bjorndal. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy to
Who are you? What do you do here, buddy?
Taylor Bjorndal, associate weapons designer, sandbox designer. I've also bounced around and done a lot of stuff. Excited to talk about all of the million things we changed.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I think the last time we had you on the couch, we were talking grid skipper rolls and things like that.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
Yeah. So as we're diving into this, we have quite a bit to go through in the show.
That was
And to start, we're actually going to be in the
half a year ago.
We're going to have our gameplay specialist going through, showing you some of the new weapons, some of the new ability or exotics that are going to be coming. But this will be playing in the background. You'll see them tuning a couple different enemies, playing around, damage types, that kind of stuff. To start with our panel, though, let's talk Armor 3.0. Eric, if we can talk about, like, where did we start with ammo? Where was it back in the day? Where are we going? What's the high-level vision for our changes?
Yeah, so when Destiny 2 launched, we had armor in the game, but there were 3 stats. There were no mods available. And then with Shadowkeep, we hit Armor 2.0, where we added 3 additional stats for a total of 6, and armor mods as well. And this is the next evolution for the new saga of Destiny 2. In Armor 3.0, we are adding, or we're reworking the stats. We're adding set bonuses, and we are adding gear tiers as well.
Yeah.
And the goals with Armor 3.0, so one, we want to make armor more exciting and desirable. When's the last time you saw a purple armor dropped and you were, thrilled to go pick it up and see what was inside? And then we want to rework the stats to make sure no stat is left behind, no stat feels
Is that bracelet?
mandatory. And give you further depth of build crafting in your armor roles, essentially.
Yeah, and then an underlying goal as well that I've seen you execute upon in the team really is approachability. There are a lot of new UI tools where you're hovering over perks, stats, all that kind of stuff. You're seeing actual percentages, you're seeing more full descriptions for things, helping newer players or returning players get reacquainted with the sandbox of Destiny.
Yeah, in this release and in coming releases, we are absolutely focusing on making the game easier to digest and understand what's going on. And this, looking at the shooting range here, is a great example of this, like where I can just go and see how much damage I'm doing, and test out my weapons, test out these builds, and see the actual changes that my new armor and whatnot is giving me.
Yeah, and you can load in here with a full fire team of 6 if you want to check out raid boss damage, or just come in here by yourself if you're on Discord talking to friends, shooting the stuff. So let's really quick talk about stats. This is one of the major overhauls. A couple things are leaving, a couple things are being added. Really quick, if you could get a quick scroll through some of the stats, go ahead and give us.
Yeah, so we've removed some stats. We've removed resilience. We've removed recovery,
mobility.
Yes, and mobility. So instead, starting from the top, we got health. Then we have melee and grenade, super, class, and then our weapon stat. So this is an entirely new suite of stats, does different things. All of our stats now, instead of going to 100, they go to 200. So once you go above 100, you get an additional benefit put on top of the 0 to 100 benefit. And these, on the ability side, we are giving you kind of your uptime and how much energy you're getting in the 0 to 100 range. And then the 100 to 200 range, we're increasing things like damage, things like survivability, which is something we've never really, gone into, and it's going to really give players more tools to customize their build, kind of pinpoint single, like I'm gonna be this badass grenade thrower that's just doing shit tons of grenade damage, or I could be more defensive or more weapon focused and all of this, right?
Yeah, we haven't had like a weapons stat before, and it's sometimes been you'd have to like hook into the artifact to make like a true weapons build, and we've kind of pushed further into that world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we saw some questions specifically about the weapon stat and PvP. I know y'all have been balancing in the PvP, making sure this is kind of like cherry on top. It doesn't change the time to kill too much, but it's kind of like a cost balancing factor, right? If you want that extra damage, you lose out on grenades, things like that.
Sure, yeah. So if you want to go all in on weapons, like your weapons are going to be more potent than they were before, but it's at the expense of your other abilities and that sort of thing. So we have done extensive testing to make sure we're not breaking PvP. That said, in the first day that this comes out, the amount of hours being put into this by genius members of the community is going to dwarf what we've done. So it's a little bit scary how much change we've actually put in this. The team's worked so hard across the entire game. Everything you hear today is not apples to apples with the pre-Edge of Fate numbers and feel of the game. It really across the game we have just changed so much.
It's very different. It's not really easy to compare the experience of what's going to be.
So they say they've changed a lot.
What people are playing right now.
But at the same time, it still feels like Destiny.
Yeah, it's that
like
quintessential feel of I got my gun, I have my
What if they
abilities,
mean
but now it's
what they think
how
is a
much
lot or what
agency
we think is a
do I
lot?
have in leaning into some of these things and embracing like a role-playing mechanic.
And one of the cool things is like internally, I think the most common thing we say in like our sandbox channel now has just like emerged as, man, I can't wait for 900. The sandbox is really exciting. There's a lot of really specific builds you can do. Like if you want to be the melee guy, you can be the melee guy more than ever before, right? And it's I think we're going to see some really crazy stuff.
Speaking of embracing some of these different lanes, we actually have 3 new exotics coming with the Edge of Fate. Each class is going to get 1 new exotic. Each embrace a different sort of vibe or theme. And yeah, you can see them on screen. I think first we're going to start with the Warlock exotic, and Bjorn
Yes, sir.
all the details.
Sure. Yeah, so
My
first
stuff.
we have Eunoia, which is Warlock exotic themed around the Hellion aspect. What this does is after your Hellion fires, after a certain amount of time, the projectile is going to shatter into a bunch of submunitions that will like seek nearby units and scorch them. And so it kind of like adds a little bit of like skill play to something that was kind of more of a passive aspect in the past.
Yeah, and I think in the shooting range we can see like it can be both a single target or a group sort of add clear exotic, right?
Yeah. It can kind of serve multiple roles, just kind of like amping up something that was like a trusty
I see.
old tool to be something a little more that you have to like manually aim.
20
Yeah,
seconds.
and you can like, because it like splits in mid-flight, you can kind of like control your spacing to like control the grouping of it. If you want to hit one target, if you're at the right distance, you'll hit all 5, and they'll like burst way earlier than before. Or if you like get way back, you can just blanket a region.
Love it. Yeah, and we can see on the screen too, like some of the looks of the exotic and the Hellion have changed.
Yeah, so like while you're using the exotic, the Hellion itself, like the little solar buddy, will have the same X that the gauntlets do. So it's like a
It's good visual telling.
nice little nod to like match the exotic.
Love it.
This thing looks so metal. I'm like so about having that big gas canister on my arm. Having that like flamethrower Warlock arm is so cool. I may have to start switching play Warlock.
Love it. Next up, I believe we have Hunter on docket.
Yeah, so the Hunter exotic is Morai, which is a strand-themed exotic that's about your threaded spike and tangles, where you can basically like yo-yo a tangle from out in the field back in your hand and then throw it again. So the way this works is if you have a tangle out in the field and you throw your strand Hunter melee at it, it'll pop the tangle and then bring one back to you that if you catch the spike, you'll get another tangle. So you can like duplicate the tangle, which works really well with a lot of Strand Hunter aspects like Whirling Maelstrom and just like the existing tie-in with like grappling to a tangle.
Oh boy.
You get like even more mobility and
Damn.
a lot of like ad clear potential. And also it will return more energy when you catch it as well. So like even if you don't hit anything or you don't grab a tangle, so it helps you keep that engine going.
Yeah, you can see the strand energy attached to the threaded spike. So if you grab that, I love how we're rewarding that like perfect grab.
Yeah.
You can already hear people yelling "spin to win" as they're spamming these things, right?
Yeah, I mean you can have 3 Beyblades out in the field at any time. Essentially, it's
And you're like zipping between the tangles with grapple. It's cool as hell.
Yeah. It's very strong. It's also going to be very strong with this artifact
Okay.
upcoming, which
It's gonna
we'll
be
talk about. But another cool
interesting
tidbit
for
about this
strikes.
is it will
Or
the threaded
PvE.
spike will bounce to the tangle from enemies as well.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
it's something that has a lot of easy use and really rewards skill at the same time.
Yeah, I think before we move on to Titans, and sorry Titans, we'll get to you in a second. Really cool exotic. I do want to talk about Gambler's Dodge. In the last TWID, we talked about a bunch of abilities changes, exotic tuning, that kind of stuff. And we saw some chatter around Gambler's Dodge. It was updated and reworked, right?
Yeah, we have reworked Gambler's Dodge. So it's the energy you get when you dodge now scales on your melee stat.
Okay.
But you no longer have to dodge near enemies to get that energy. So I can dodge anywhere in the game. I don't have to worry about this invisible circle that's around me to know if I'm close enough. It is going to feel more consistent. If I build into melee, it's going to feel more powerful. There's also, Taylor, you were talking about the multiple charges.
Oh,
right?
just a full.
If you like our bar for a lot of this stuff is if you are at 70 stat, you'll get the full refund like you used to. But if you go beyond that, you'll actually get a little bit more, which most of the time doesn't matter. But like if you're using like a Fiddy Spade or any of the multi melee things or Stasis Shurikens, it'll go up to like 1 1/3 charges. So you can keep that going even better if you're fully invested in melee. So you have like more reasons like to invest in it. If you want more melees, you want them to do
Strand
more damage,
meditations are still a
all
thing.
in on
Lovely.
that, and it will still do
Like just so many shurikens.
Yeah.
Just an embarrassment of shurikens.
which is great. Like
Freeze everything in front of you. right?
exactly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and then I won't be bothering you and saying, "Don't kill this thing. Let me do my dodge."
Yeah,
anytime.
you can just do it wherever you want.
So yeah, let's go on to Titans. So this one thematically, I think, for me at least, I'm just like, you're a Forge Master.
Yeah. So this is Melis Panoplia, which is an
A hard
exotic
name to say.
Yeah.
As we get deeper into Destiny, the names get a little. Yeah, but go ahead.
It's it's an exotic themed around something that people have been asking for a long time, which is kind of the fantasy of Thor's hammer. Of I want to be able to pull my hammer back to me after I throw it. So there's like a little minigame loop here where you get a fire sprite, you pick it up, then you get a buff that lets you pull the hammer back to you. And if you pull the hammer back with good timing, it'll explode and do like solar shrapnel and hit stuff for like extra damage on the way back. Kind of like how Hammer Saw works. And I think the hammer also will damage things on the return trip too. So if you position yourself
It
well,
looks like it
you
has
can
a
actually,
trail.
like, send it back through guys.
Line 'em up.
Back, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've wanted to do this for a long time, but it's been kind of a scary,
Complicated.
Yeah, it's hard to balance this sort of thing where it's like it returns all your energy, but it also you can pull it back to you at any time. So
You don't even have to
outlets are
face
designed
it?
Really knocked it out of the
Oh.
park as far as
It came out so well.
the balance and the activator and the
Performance.
Oh, it didn't.
performance.
Yeah. You were talking about the animation, right?
Yeah.
Before this.
I love the performance on this thing. We've got like this beat where it's like all this magnetic like handshaking and it feels so good. We actually did like a new tech thing on this where if you're like looking off to the side, we kind of move the player's hand a little bit so you're like still kind of actually pulling the hammer. And that's like the first time we've done that with like a world object and it's
Okay.
very cool. It feels really good.
Awesome.
It's super satisfying.
Yeah, I think so. We're going to be getting into some more gameplay and an actual activity in a minute. But before we go, I do want to ask for stats. And actually, two things. With your exotics, there are going to be gear bonuses that you can build on top of, correct? And that's a new Armor 3.0 feature.
Yeah, so gear bonuses when a new armor set drops. If you have 2 or more pieces from that armor set, you will get an additional perk. If you have 4 or more pieces from that armor set, you will get another perk on top of that. So I could take 2 pieces from one set, 2 pieces from another set, and then an exotic. And I have like more perks than I've ever had before on my Guardian. And it's really enables you to expand your build crafting in new ways.
Yeah, I think we have an example of this in the build right now. If gameplay specialists could inspect an armor piece, you can see, here's some of the destination armor bonuses that you can get.
Yeah,
Gameplay
so at
specialist.
2 pieces, we have Force Converter. At 4 pieces, we have Reactive Booster. And sorry, go for it, Vivi.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, so yeah, these are unique to the armor set itself. Something more than just like cosmetics that you might want out of these.
Gives you another reason to like go to a specific place and pursue a specific armor set besides just fashion. Although fashion is still very important.
You can still use your armor synthesis and put the looks on these.
Yeah, and I mean, we also get to make perks that are like, I'm the this guy, you know, because you're investing so heavily in the 4-piece perk. But what's really cool about this is like, I think this is going to be very cool at live when we like launch. But I think in like 2, releases or whatever, just a little bit in the future, we're going to see people go like, hey, remember that armor that I got?
Like something from 2 seasons ago.
Right, the 2-piece perk from Kepler is really cool with whatever, and we're really excited about that.
The mix and
And
match.
the second piece of this is going to be for the stats rework. Some of the fragments are going to be reworked as well to adopt new stats or change, right?
Yeah, so fragments still can adjust your stats up or down depending on your build. And some of these, because we've deprecated some of our perks, or stats rather, some of these are new. Like we're going to have, some of these will have weapon stat, which never have happened before, which just opens up new build crafting avenues. We're gonna kind of wait and see how this lands, how the dust settles for all of the stat stuff before we go in and adjust these further. But yeah, I think players have a lot of different ways to build out their stats and become the grenade master, the weapon master, and whatever they want to do.
So quick shout out, Dark Slifer, Childish CG, and Snivvyland for those last 2 questions. They actually asked them ahead of time. Feel free to keep dropping questions in chat. I'm glancing down here every so often. Now it is time to move on and let's talk about some new stuff. Vivian, you have been very excited about a new weapon archetype that is coming with the Edge of Fate.
I showed the map.
Sure. So for centuries, humanity has wondered, like, what would a legendary bow look like in the heavy slot? And today I have your answer. For Edge of Fate, we are building a crossbow. It plays like a new archetype, but it is technically a bow for the purposes of, it's gonna fill all your bounties, that kind of stuff. Now, so when we went to go make this, we knew it was a very cool fantasy, right? We want the feeling of like really drawing it back and it hitting a single target and doing a ton of damage. But we do have linear fusion rifles, right? And that's always the question, is like, what does this do that's different? What's the fun gameplay here? And we settled on, well, when you shoot that big heavy bolt and it hits your target, you can just go pick it back up. So this thing theoretically is a heavy weapon with unlimited ammo. You can use the same bolt for an entire Nightfall if you want. I would love to see someone do that. Go clear a dungeon without ever using anything else or whatever, It's very cool. You have to put yourself in danger.
It's Icebreaker again.
It's just such a satisfying loop to just like pull it out of some, dead hive. Just put it in the rail, pull it back, use the same bolt to shoot someone else. It's great.
I saw last week in a PvP playtest, I saw someone run the entire map with a single bolt, and they just kept it alive for minutes on end. It was
no.
I can hear the PvP mains, like when you said infinite heavy ammo, they're like, excuse me?
Yeah,
but it's like, you gotta go
You
pick
gotta
that
go
thing
get
up.
it, So
It's not that bad. Okay.
It is very potent.
And in PvP, you only get the one. You gotta get the headshot, and it's very funny. It ends up being like this game of like keep away, where you're like, we cannot let Taylor get near this thing.
So as we're going into this activity, we'll get some gameplay footage. This is a good example of the portal system that we'll be talking about next week on July 1st. Make sure to tune in. But we're going to be taking some content from just the history of Destiny, and it will be in the portal to go in and play. Power progression, we'll be talking about that next week, so stay tuned for that.
Okay.
Vivian, back to the heavy crossbow though. You were talking about this being legendary, so that means random rolls, and you had mentioned bolts.
Yes, yeah. So we had a really fun opportunity when we were making this, where we
Ammo types.
we go to the talent grid, and we always want to make stuff kind of like new and different. And we got to the talent grid, and we were like, this thing does not have a magazine. We cannot put magazines on this, right? And it gave us the opportunity to like really go, what would like a different magazine
Screeber?
plug system look like? And so what we ended up going for is like, we have bolt types. And the bolt types, instead of just being stats, they're going to alter the way the bolt actually behaves out in the world.
Yeah.
So we've got, one of them is like explosive bolt, where it's going to put in a target, it'll like beep, 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 and it'll just explode. Kind of like a grenade launcher. And then we have, my personal favorite is that we have serrated bolts. I remembered to say the shipping name this time.
Oh, you can say, yeah.
used
If
to
it
be
doesn't have
tactical.
3 names, it's not real game dev.
I never know when things go live. I never know. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, you guys know better than I do
But
the
yeah,
names.
go ahead.
But yeah, so we have serrated bolts, and you can put like the bolt in a target with serrated bolts, and you can normally draw them back out of living targets, but if you have serrated bolts, they're gonna deal damage on the exit too. And it is so satisfying to like land the final hit with the pull, and you just pull back your bolts and you get them, and they just go flying.
I'll take
It's
that
great.
back. Yeah, when you first brought this up, I was just like, that's so metal. Like,
Yeah.
gimme.
It's something.
Okay, there.
Really quick, just on the
Little
topic
blown spike.
of ammo, there are new ammo meters. Bjorn, we were going to talk about this in the firing range, shooting range. But we actually have some live gameplay where we can see these meters working out. Can you talk us through what is this new system? How does it work? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, so there's been a pretty big shakeup in the way that ammo works in the game.
Solar
where
flare.
In the past, it wasn't really anything that you had too much control over, but now it is something that you have like a lot of control over and a lot of build crafting hooks to optimize or like make your own. And it almost like kind of works like an ability or like a super does now, where it lives in your weapon tray. You can see there below the weapons on kills and assists with anything that'll tick up. And then when you hit full, the next kill will drop you a brick of that type. So there's a lot of things you can do now that you can build into to like have a lot more control over the pacing of when you're getting that.
Sweet.
And like there's a bunch of armor mods that exist now that like pretty much all the things that used to be finders or inventory now fit into ammo generation, which is like a new weapon stat. So players have a lot of different ways to kind of build around that, depending on like, if you have a really ammo hungry special weapon, then you have some options now to actually make that easier to feed.
And we'll be talking about this in depth in a future Twitter blog, so stay tuned for that, especially PvP heads. I've already seen conversation from our content creator videos going out. But before we get out of combat, I do want to talk about, alongside the new weapon archetype of the crossbow, we have some new weapon frames coming to the game.
Yeah, we do.
Ooh.
Yeah. So let's start with the hand cannon.
All right, yeah, so we have the spread shot hand cannon. It's like a big, chunky, beefy hand cannon that fires shotgun pellets. Very close range, but hard hitting. Can 2-tap PvP. I'm a little afraid of that, but
But
I'm
it's
sure it'll
close
be
range,
great.
right?
Yeah,
Like-
it's
Is that
very
the
limited.
Europa
It's
Pulse
like
rifle?
a sidearm, like big punchy sidearm, but like even less range than a sidearm. But like less precision reliant.
This thing has become my baby in
Yeah,
PvP. I love this thing.
It's pretty great.
It's kind of like having like a sawed-off
Yeah.
that's like a primary ammo, and it is just so good if you play aggressive or you use like other abilities to hit people.
It's
or just
really
you
good as
want
like a
to
mixer in between other stuff.
Right, and that's exactly how I play. So I love this thing.
And second, so shout out to Sammy Cat, resident bow lover. She does full solo dungeons, HUD off, bows only. We have a new bow frame that's going to be coming.
Yeah, so we made a longbow, which is like a big, heavy war bow. Even slower draw than precisions, but more damage, and it has intrinsic overpenetration. So if you line up a bunch of thrall and you like hip fire a full draw, it'll just go straight through all of them with one shot.
I love that.
Up to how many?
Numbers have been squished a little bit, so they actually mean something now.
Pick
Because
a hand.
how much
Huh?
damage is
Pick a
bow
hand.
doing
Pick a
compared
hand.
to like
Left.
each one of those pellets in the hand cannon?
Yeah.
Right.
Like when
Thank you.
like in the live game where it's like I did 20,000 damage with a shot. I was like,
Yeah,
the
it's hard to
numbers-
compare.
Yeah,
Right,
start to be
right.
meaningless. But for me, we've just changed so much, and I can't overstate like how. Yeah, how much has changed and how this game is I guess evolving. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of those changes are like they go hand in hand, right? Like us changing the stats around, you know, us making new builds possible. A lot of these changes are all like, they're all going to kind of combine to create something new.
Yeah. Did you see that front shielded ogre? With we have a new. We'll talk about this next week.
Yeah.
But the new Banes are incredible. I'm very excited for players.
Oh boy, yeah. New Banes, new modifiers, all that kind of stuff.
Will you be?
And then the final weapon we got on tap is going to be a special weapon, another burst, shoots explosives.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
So,
Is that not Europa's
We're big fans of
pulse?
rocket-assisted sidearms. Now we have a rocket-assisted frame pulse rifle. So that fits a similar role, but a little bit different. It's a little more ammo hungry than the sidearms. Got a bit more range and hits a bit harder. So it kind of fits in between like a fusion rifle and a sniper rifle. Also kind of fires a little bit differently than pulse rifles, which is interesting, just because like all of our pulse rifles have like different burst delay, but when you're firing each pulse, they all have like the same rate of fire. So this, instead of being like the brr, it's like a bop bop bop. So it feels heavier and it's firing these like big, slower projectiles. So it feels chunkier.
Thank you for doing a Dave Samuel impression there.
I aspire to greatness.
Yeah.
This thing is like real cool. It's real heavy, but it's also like, you know, like we said, it's like pretty ammo hungry. One of the cool things about 900 is like we have the ammo stat. You know, you can build into that. You can eliminate that downside, and now you can see it working.
Yeah, same for the longbow too. Like there were some perks on the random rolls that you can go in, lessen the draw time. Like sure, it's still going to be a little bit slow fiery, heavy.
It is pretty
but there's
chunky.
a bunch of ways that you can build craft and tune these things to feel good for your playstyle.
Like you have like one for all or other things that care about hitting multiple targets.
Yeah, right. So as we're going through this transition, we actually have a bunch more to cover, and gear tiering has been top of mind for a lot of players ever since our reveal stream. So Eric, I'd love to dive in and just revisit what's the high-level vision statement for gear tiering and how we're getting players reinvested in some of that.
Yeah, so gear tiering enables players to look at a piece of gear at a glance and like understand how powerful it is. So you can see those kind of 5 icons or 5 little dots there. This is a 5th tier armor piece we're looking at. And the stat package or the stat pool that each piece gives is going to depend on the tier. So you can see at tier 1 is going to drop between 52 and 57 stat totals. And then at tier 5, you are guaranteed 75 stats plus stat tuning, which lets you kind of add some.
Yeah, shout out to, there were a bunch of folks that were asking, what are stat bands? Because in the game right now, it's what is low to a given player. Like 62 feels low, but an actual definition is like 58 or lower.
Yeah.
In the game now, we have UI that tells you exactly what are the stat bands for each of the tiers, so you know what you're looking for as you're trying to build to 200 or 150 or whatever you're looking for.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I love that we did this because this is the most common question I get in my clan that I answer, and I love that you can just go see it now.
Yeah, having information in game is great. I think the biggest thing about this is that because the bands are a lot narrower, you have a much better expectation of what you're getting like before you even start the activity. So, like I know a lot of people like you go into a master dungeon to farm some artifice armor, and you don't know if you're going to get like 55 or 70. Yeah, it's like an extremely wide range, but like that takes a lot of time and effort to get through. So now it's just like you're going into the toppest end difficulty thing to get tier 5s. You know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah.
So it's significantly more likely that when you get your drop, it's going to be something valuable. It might not be valuable to your exact build, but it will be valuable. It'll be the stats total that you want.
Yeah, Eric.
Yeah, and with the new portal system, which we'll talk about next week, you're going to have a score goal that you want to hit to get that exact armor piece, and it's like more targeted farming or more targeted. You know, if I want to chase a certain thing, like I know what I have to do to get it, and when it drops, I know what it's going to give me as far as the total value, right?
Yeah.
And it's just much more clear and exciting. So.
And go ahead.
I really like, we're mousing over here, the armor archetype. We now like display what things are going to be high on it and what things are going to be low. And they're like a little further apart where things are going to be spikier now. And so like, if you want to really max out stats, you can just look for that, emblem. You'll know what your armor is kind of like going to be good at. And it's like,
you can see
good
that,
changes.
Like at your main inventory level too. So you're just like mousing over like, oh, I just got a bunch of drops. What did I get? Cool. Is it gunner? Is it grenadier?
Right.
Like, what is the thing that I want? You can use it as like a quick reference rather than needing to go all the way into inspection and see like the exact stats.
And the last detail on tier 5 for armor, we mentioned this in the reveal stream, but you can get to 11 energy for your armor. So it helps with build crafting. You can get more of those armor mods slotted and that kind of stuff.
It goes to 11 now.
Yeah, right.
Crank it.
So switching over to weapons, though, I would love to. We have some examples of tier 1, tier 3, and tier 5 weapons to show what is that progression looking like.
Yeah, similarly, when a weapon drops, I'm able to just glance at it and be like, oh, tier 1 weapon, it's going to have base stats, it's going to have a limited perk pool there. But then you can see at tier 3, we now have 2 enhanced traits. We have some of our columns are going to have more perk options in them. And then tier 5, yep, so this is a tier 3. And then tier 5 is going to have even more. Like, look at the options here, and so much enhancement. And
that's a lot of
enhanced weapon mods too.
Right. Yeah, kind of like how armor is like you have a much better understanding of like when I'm starting an activity, what is the expectation of the things I'm getting. This like the multi-perk and the enhanced perks kind of work for that too. So the odds of you getting that like specific god roll or multi-god roll, if you're looking for like the combo PvP PvE weapon, are a lot higher than like in past activities where you're just getting, okay, I'm gonna get 1 adept with 1 trait in each column.
Yeah, and we're adding a lot of depth. Like as we were hovering over those enhanced perks, they have additional things that they can do, whether it be stats or power for the perk. We're putting all of these details into the game
benefit.
so people know as they're getting into this depth, they can hover over these things, understand all the different stats. We'll of course have blog components. We'll have some guides that our players make, our creators make. We'll blast those out, but we're hoping to bring more of these sorts of things into the game to make it easier to understand. So,
yeah, that said, if you have a great weapon drop that, dropped this season or 5 seasons ago, if it's a good roll, it's a good roll. Like it's, just because it doesn't necessarily adhere to the tier system doesn't mean it is not equal or greater value in some cases.
Yeah, there was this really funny reference that Mactix made, one of our creators, where he had this beautiful giant sword, and he's like, this is what I got today, and it has perfect rolls for a rocket launcher, et cetera, and here's my new tier 1 weapon that doesn't really have good perks. Like, what are you going to use?
Yeah.
So to answer the question, Shadow on Blue Sky was asking, are my weapons that I have right now or armor, like, is that going to be viable in high-end content? And the answer is of course. There are going to be a couple things in here that add incentive to try out new things, but Vivian, you had kind of framed it as a cherry on top, right?
Right. Yeah. And it's also like a way to, in the past, sometimes like the best way to get your path to power was like to do a lot of something. But now if you like do really hard activities as well, we're also just kind of rewarding you for the time there.
Yeah, so right at the
talk
9.
about feature gear stuff in relation to this.
Yeah, we will in a second, but I just wanted to touch on right at the 9. Some folks were asking, like, what do these equate to in the tier system? And when you get an adept right at the 9 weapon, both of your columns are enhanced, all that kind of stuff. Like, it looks like a tier 3. It's going to feel like a tier 3 for a while. So there is a good handshake as you're going into Edge of Fate. But yeah, the last thing for tier 5 gear, I would like to show the cosmetic treatment that we've been doing. We showed this in the reveal stream, but tier 5s have an awesome new shader treatment and also kill effects.
Yeah, so these basically on the weapons, they'll come with like a fancy shader on it, and then something almost kind of similar to what we do with Sweaty Confetti, but now it's like a specific slot where it gets a custom kill effect that only comes on the tier 5 variant.
Yeah, and you can see with gear tiering, it's kind of learning a bunch of lessons through the years of Destiny. Like, kill effects are really cool. Players like this. Now we have a new slot for it. Players really like hollow foils as a chase in the game right now, and now we have tier 5s where you get sort of a hollow foil style treatment for it. So it's been really cool to watch y'all develop this over time. But to your point, this actually is a good segue into the next section where we're talking about new and featured gear and our artifact. So Eric, if you want to take the stage, what is new or featured gear?
Yeah, so our new gear, when we drop new weapons and armor for a season or for a release, that is going to get a bonus. It's going to be a little bit stronger than your other options. So on the armor side, you are going to get a damage resistance bonus per piece you have equipped, and that is, it kind of scales by gear tier. So if I have tier 1 armor pieces, I'm going to have 5% damage resistance against, everything. But if I have 5 tier 5 gear pieces, I'm going to have 15% damage versus everything. So I guess, yeah. So it is something that allows me to have a little bit of an edge. It's a very small amount. It's a min-max sort of situation where if I wanted to wear stuff that is not in the new gear pool, like I am not at a huge detriment.
Right.
But something that gives you like that little bit of edge to like inch out into
The
like,
edge.
the highest tier stuff when you like really need just a little bit more health or a little bit more damage.
Yeah, speaking of damage, so you can see that the max is actually 10%. This is a clarification. We invited some folks into the studio to look through all of this. The original number was 15%. It's actually 10% on your additional damage when you get all your tier 5 weapons equipped. So again, cherry on top, where it kind of gives you that edge. And also it gives you a way, kind of like in earlier releases where you walk out into the tower and you're wearing all your raid gear. You're kind of like peacocking, as y'all have framed it. And now it's, oh, hey, I have all tier 5 gear. This shows like, not only have I mastered this content, but I've earned a bunch of really cool stuff, gotten all the gear I want, and now I can carry my team through. So, when it comes to the new gear as well, what's the way that you identify that as a player?
Yeah, so if you see that little kind of teal icon in the top left corner of the armor piece, that is going to that's going to tell me that it is in the new gear pool. So it's not only gear from this season or release, but it is also gear. It's like a collection of exotic pieces as well.
Yeah, if we hop into the collections really quick, there's actually a new section that's going to show, here's our featured gear. So if you have some things from previous releases, those are going to be a part of the build crafting as well.
Correct.
A note for any newer players or returning players, some of these things are actually like, you can go to Xur, try to grab those. You can go into Rite of the Nine. Emissary is going to have a few things like Graviton Lance. That's a great thing to pick up before this new release starts, so then you have a little bit of an edge going.
Yeah. Chicago weapon.
If y'all screenshot this, you can start hunting this stuff down right now, right?
Yeah, and we will have follow-up blogs where we're going to go line by line. I understand, like, this stream has a lot of data. It has a lot of numbers, that kind of stuff. Big lists of gear. We'll have a full bulleted list, not just in TWIDs, but in patch notes as we keep going. So I think with that, we can go into the artifact as well.
Cool.
They're putting in a lot of information that we've been wanting for years.
The artifact this time around, we're going and we're exploring Kepler, so kind of going with that theme is we wanted this to be kind of like, scout the wild frontier. And so to that end, it's kind of a little longer range weapon-wise than some of our recent artifacts. One of the other themes that we wanted to get was this is going to be me and my fire team, So if you're scouting solo, we have stuff for solo. If you're scouting as a group, we have stuff as a group. Then lastly, it's we made this artifact a little more weapons focused than we maybe normally do, because we wanted
I see that scout impulse.
That kind of the Guardians kit, kind of down to earth, kind of grit thing. Some of my favorite perks in these are in the fifth column. There's that first one is Radiant Shrapnel. And this is going to add an additive shrapnel burst when you're killing guys when they're radiant or when you're radiant or they are scorched. And I actually really like that we pay out scorched a little, because sometimes you can't quite get that ignition,
So and that's going to pair really well with the Warlock exotic coming out. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You could scorch a bunch of guys and then you can cause them to alt burst. It's very cool. The fourth one in this column also is a favorite of mine. It's Tangled Web. And this is going to suspend everyone when you generate a tangle via combat. And normally we do that effect, we reserve that effect for breaking the tangle, right? And now it's on
see that second column.
And it leads to a very fun situation where you can just kind
Grenade in
of
class.
walk up and take it, and you're like, thank you guys, I'll be back. And they can't do anything, and it kind of gets you there faster if you're not using grapple grenade or something.
Yeah. It works really well with the Hunter exotic.
It also works really well with the Hunter exotic. It's lots of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I think, so there's a question from V Ferrer sorry if I pronounced that wrong, asking, are there going to be more seasonal mods? And with the artifact, you can see next major update, there's going to be another row, as people know. With the featured gear, there's also going to be added exotics to that pool. And Bjorn, I believe we are also making some new seasonal mods that'll be released over time, correct?
Yeah, kind of in the same way that we did last season, where we had the like Taken theme set of weapon mods. We'll have the same thing for this release's theme. That you can find those out as they come.
Perfect. All right. Well, wow. I believe we are at the end of the stream. Thank you so much for joining us on the couch. Everybody out there, thank you so much for joining us during this live stream to see what we have to offer. We do have another live stream next Tuesday, July 1st, same time, same place.
I'll be live for that.
Guest. Sorry, I'll invite you back soon. But we're going to be talking
45 minutes, okay.
So what are you playing? How are you earning things? How are you getting up to these tier 5s? And also, how are you customizing your experience in the portal with new Banes, new modifiers, all that kind of stuff? Just because this is information heavy, as I mentioned, we do have a slate of blog content that'll be coming live. We'll have a recap on Thursday. We have a standalone next Wednesday that'll talk a little bit more about gear tiering. Next Thursday, we'll also have another recap for that stream and additional sandbox information. And then we keep marching into launch with more patch note previews, gear previews, all that kind of stuff. So outside of the full suite of gear you'll be earning on Kepler, bunch of stuff to discover. So thank you so much again for joining. This has been a fun stream. And as we leave, we're going to toss you over to our good friend Fallout. He's going to be talking through a bunch of what we said today. He was one of the creators that we invited to Bungie with hands-on, so he can explain some things. And we'll be collecting questions throughout the rest of the day to answer in the Twit. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, that was very quick and concise. Okay, so a lot of info, a lot of numbers. I know. So, okay, they're gonna be done with this. It's getting quieter. Yeah. The trailer they showed at the beginning here. This one.
Survived it.
There's a section.
Over time, the ideals of the scientific process. Helix
So that's
the House of Exile arrived during the Dark Age, weary from the Long Drift, alongside Dark Matter. House of Exile was
very Nurgle-esque.
Just on building Kepler of places like
Kepler, you tap into dark matter abilities. These are all about going tech that as you fight your way across Kepler, you tap into dark matter abilities.
So we've seen this kind of system before. The Agrigor on that exotic mission. Moats.
And unlock enemy tech that expands.
Kind of looks like Deep Sight, or like a new type of Deep Sight. But there's one clip with. Okay. Understand basic words and concepts in Ionian, allowing for a greater range of linguistic interfacing with Ionian devices and ciphers. It's kind of No Man's Sky-ish.
Clever ways.
By far the most game-changing is one of Matterspark's upgrades. On Kepler, it lets you turn. By far the most game-changing is one of Matterspark's upgrades. On
Heavily shielded and highly aggressive combatants appear in greater numbers. Raiders disabled. Greater fire team scale. Precise scales combat and difficulty. Activate Matterspark.
Kepler, it lets you turn ways. There are tons of cool combinations.
There was
suspend
one
an enemy with Mattermorph, bend a path up toward the sky, and then in mid-air
Fiendling.
leap into Matterspark to dash across the arena and arc chain a group of enemies.
The team has already seen players pairing abilities with different exotic perks and aspects to create some really crazy.
Right there. This thing, this shadow right here. Life's gonna have a video. I guarantee it. That's the conductor. So, she's back. Okay. So that's a whole lot of lore that's probably gonna happen. Or probably gonna be like minimum 20-minute video from Bife
Builds. We know this is
of why she's here. how that impacts
in the
stuff.
beginning, and can't wait to see what happens once players get their hands on this kit.
See, Edge of Fate starts on the 15th next month. So July. December 2nd is Star Wars.
Welcome to Bungie. We were just talking about Kepler.
So they showed longbow. So we have 2 new bows. We have a shotgun hand cannon, rocket-assisted pulse rifle. The one they showed is a retextured or reskinned Europa weapon, unfortunately. The hand cannon looks like when we had that crafting thing where you could just make whatever. They took ideas. Crossbows, I think that's for, like, Destiny Rising has crossbows. How is...
Yeah, it was a little bit of a short stream, but I mean, for Jesus Christ, the fuck is Broly? Is that you? For people who hadn't seen the YouTube content, I've got
Fallout
some
talking about
videos
this?
up on the YouTube channel of me going to Bungie to play test the new stuff and like giving feedback and yada yada. So you can check those videos out on YouTube. But
no video. There we go. I was trying to get it.
What we're gonna do here in just a minute. We have a good friend of the stream, great dude. His name is Swift. He's actually gonna hop in on mic, and I'm gonna clean his vault live. So if you want to watch me take a sledgehammer to somebody's vault, maybe learn a couple things about how to clean up your own vault between now and Edge.
He's not doing what I thought he was doing. I thought he was going to be like going in depth on some things. Doesn't look like it. What now is we do normal Destiny until actually we'll look at the new stuff because it's reset. I think I might end stream early and then possibly stream again tonight. I'm still kind of tired, so we'll check out the new stuff and then go from there. Tonight if I stream tonight, we'll just watch. We'll see who puts up videos today. After that, I imagine Cross, Bife, Fallout will have videos talking about stuff more in depth. We can look through and just kind of like pool all that knowledge. Maybe a body cam. Maybe a puppy bit, like a video of puppies or cats or whatever. After the body cam. We'll see. Quest. Yeah, we'll go check it out. There's unfortunately still just... Cross has said this. But... the event that came out prior to the last expansion, to Final Shape, had more replayability and just had better loot to chase than Rite of the Nine does right now. So there's really not much to do new content wise apart from trying to finish out quests, but it's like just grind, you know? Arbalist, Polaris, I already have those. Ghosts of the Deep, I'm not doing that. I'm so... Worst weapon, worst dungeon. Great. Yeah, no thanks. I'm good.
Live well.
Live well, yeah. So there's like I don't know. There's not a whole lot to do, unfortunately, right now. It's very... I know they had to delay stuff, but I think that kind of has been the worst part of this. We still have 20 days until the new season. We've had this season for like 6 months, 5 months. So it's gotten old. I finished this 90 days, like 90 to 100 days ago. Or when this said 90. So it's been 70 plus days. And Guardian Games, that's the spring event. So it's nope, wrong one. It's unfortunate. So, I don't know. We'll do some questing tonight, maybe, or tomorrow, or something. We'll see. You gotta do this part, but I think I need Moon's help, so. So. I think I'll end here. We'll see what's going on later today. And we'll hit that. So, chat, thanks for being here. I know I was early. I was hoping that live stream would go a little longer. I was hoping like hour and a half, maybe. 45 minutes. All that info just for 45 minutes, I think is... They could have gone longer. They could have, I think they should have gone longer. But... that's how it goes, I guess. So... but let's raid into somebody. We haven't raided in a bit. Bum 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 bum. Who's live? Bricky? What's Bricky doing? Tiefling Melissa? What is that? D&D VTuber doing a subathon? Ricky's doing Hitman? I don't know. I think maybe we'll raid tomorrow or something. Thinking of just sending. I try to like raid into people of similar size just to like, you know. We'll raid Bife. Chat. Lord Daddy Bife is doing stuff. I'll see y'all later tonight, probably, hopefully. Otherwise, if I don't, thanks for coming by. Appreciate a follow. If you're on YouTube, appreciate a sub. Dream big, my man. Yeah. I don't know, I might go take a nap or something, so I'll see y'all later. Go get some rest, go eat, go drink, do what you need to do, have a good day. I'll see you later. Wow.